These are a few quick and dirty sketches of what I'm trying to make today.
Stage!
I used my laser cutter to score out a pattern that I had designed and then finished cutting it out with my jigsaw. To get a sense of the scale of the diorama, I sketched out my main character and put him on these foam blocks. That's gonna be this little island.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the Craftiverse. I hope you're doing well today. Me, I'm Tinu's dad, and I'm gonna be here to add some crafting insight.
Good job.
By the way, I was paid to say that. You owe me $1, Tinu.
No, you're not supposed to tell people that I paid you to say that.
The people in the news don't care that they bought and paid for by giant corporations.
You're not getting $1.
We'll let the lawyers work it out.
My little foam island is glued, clamped. Now we let it dry. I'm going to use some cosplay to build my main figure. I've printed out a scale chart at the size I need him to be.
You're not building an armature?
Nah, this guy doesn't need it. I know the pose that I want him in, and his limbs are staying close to his body.
Man, I'm craving chimichangas.
Yeah, it's probably the music.
Hey, you know how much a chimichanga costs?
Yep, $1, and you're still not getting paid.
You better lawyer up.
Let's bake this guy.
Okay, I'll admit, I do like the way you whittle on these little figures after the clay is baked.
Thanks, but I did nick my finger a little.
Well, you do work a very dangerous job, and your country thanks you for your service.
I smell the overwhelming odor of sarcasm.
You smell the burn.
I sculpted a couple of caps for his horns. This was fun. I wasn't sure if it was gonna work, but I put some spackling into this large syringe that I use for mold making. Look at that, it's like a little caulk gun. I love it.
Okay, if anyone in the audience who's colorblind, he's painting the figure black.
Yeah, I don't think that's how color blindness works. But anyway, I'm covering the foam with this base goop.
Yes, that seals and protects it.
Nice. I'm gluing in some braided wire, and that's gonna help secure the figure to the base. You know how earlier we were talking about the whittling?
Yeah.
Well, this is one of the reasons I like that technique, because this figure doesn't have a ton of detail, but the whittle marks really pop out with the dry brushing, and it adds a lot more visual interest than just the flat surface. I also like using some black pigment powder to enhance the shadow areas.
Like his butt crack.
That's not how I would have phrased it.
My bad, his anal split.
Easy.
Boy, I wish I had $1.
You know what? Here you go.
And that's how high-level business is done, boy.
It's $1. Boom.
Hey, you gonna make a little TV?
Yeah, man. I went into Photoshop and designed all the little different pieces, and then I sent that to the laser cutter. And in the end, what I end up with is like a little model kit that's from my own design.
You could have just 3D printed it.
But I enjoy building stuff.
Horses to water.
This is a piece of clear plastic that I'm sanding from a strawberry container. Painted it blue, glued it in the TV. Now I'm adding a clear UV resin and very carefully trying to get it to flow to the edges.
You gonna overflow it.
I'm trying not to. Let's put on the light.
Hurry up. Boy, you cut it a little too close, Tinu. You know how much I love TV.
Yeah, you're a big fan of the boob tube.
Unfortunately, your mother doesn't let me watch those kind of shows anymore.
I wired up an LED light, and this is gonna produce that sweet, hypnotizing glow.
That warm glow was both my babysitter and my best friend as a kid.
Ouch. I'm using this polystyrene tubing to build a TV stand. I can run the wires through it.
I used to fantasize that Captain Stubing from the Love Boat was my father.
Why?
Well, he was nice and he looked like he smelled good. Plus, he was bald like me.
You were bald as a kid?
Yes, you know, life hasn't been a bowl of cherries.
Judging from your medicine cabinet, it's more like a bowl of Rogaine.
You know, I think we should get back to talking about crafting.
You're the one who brought up male pattern baldness. So this is the stage floor. I've added some PVA glue and now I'm adding some balsa wood planking. And once the floor was done, I left it to dry overnight.
He is the shark man.
Yep, he's also good at weighing things down, and this wax paper stops the glue from sticking to the book. Gonna tidy up the edges, and then add a burnt umber wash. And we wipe off the excess with a paper towel. Then I decided to let this dry and go enjoy the spring day. Man, I sure do love springtime in Louisiana. We let our yard go fallow for a couple of months, and all these beautiful little wildflowers grow, and man, the bees sure do love them. That's a wild iris. And look how small this guy is. There's a whole tiny little world we're barely conscious of. What are these dudes up to? 2 baby pine trees. Yeah, let's get back to work. And I return back inside to be greeted by this.
Craftastrophe.
Man, that's a major bummer. What'd you do wrong?
I'll tell you in a second, but let me show you how I fixed it. I really didn't think that pushing it down and gluing it would work. I thought that the wood would split apart, but no, it worked.
Okay, now tell us what you screwed up.
Yeah, well, first off, what caused the buckling was so much water in the burnt umber wash, but I don't think I had enough PVA glue on it. So next time I'm gonna glue each board individually.
Boy, you're really slathering it in PVA glue now, huh?
Yeah, I was determined not to have any more buckling.
Hey, I wanted to ask you about this black pigment powder. What's to stop it from just coming off when you touch it with your hand or something?
Well, if the pigment is finely ground, it just sort of like penetrates into the pores. It works just as well as paint. Background oil painting. I did some really rough tests with watercolor and oil as some color sketches because I'm going to use some thick canvas paper as the painted backdrop for this play. So after sketching out the drawing, I decided to go with oil paint because the watercolor looked too cartoonish, even though I'm not trying to do a photorealistic background. Now this is like my favorite painting thing ever. I'm mixing blue and orange together because they're opposite colors on the color wheel, and what it does is makes this really dark neutral gray, which is almost black. And the magic of this is that if you mix this neutral gray with any color, it of course gets darker, but the vibrancy of the color stays there. It doesn't get muddy. I personally find that black paint overtakes the other colors. It's hard to manage. Neutral gray. We're gonna need a smaller boat.
Okay, now I'm excited.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna make a little rowboat. Here I'm using some graph paper to create the basic shape. Now scribbling on all this graphite, what it's gonna do is allow me to make a nice transfer. See, I tape it to the polystyrene and then use a ball stylus to press down. And look at that, it's transferring.
Man, this reminds me of when I was a kid. We used to do something similar in school.
Exactly.
Except it was pornography.
Scraping the polystyrene is gonna make it look like wood.
So this is some masking tape.
Bingo. It's gonna help me to produce a nice clean edge of color.
And out of all the colors, you choose teal?
It's very aquatic friendly.
Well, I personally would have gone with a candy apple red.
Wait a second. Aren't you the guy who painted his boat jet black and was surprised when someone crashed into you at night?
That was 100% his fault. I don't care what the court said.
Well, I got 2 words for you.
Is it running lights?
Yeah, running lights. I added some wood to the edge of the stage. This is what I'm going to hang the curtains off of. I found this really nice fake velvet. It's got the right theater vibe. This right here is like a little scaffolding or armature for the curtain. See, I flip it over, put a dowel in there, flip it back, glue it. And you can see it's starting to take on that folded curtain effect.
PVA glue.
That's correct. This is some homemade sandy flocking and PVA glue that I'm adding to the little island. And this isopropyl alcohol and water mixture helps this scenic glue to penetrate.
Because it breaks the surface tension.
Okay, now you're blowing my mind.
Well, there's a lot you don't know about me. Me, I'm like an onion.
Why, because of the smell?
No, because of the layers, Tinu.
Well, you kind of smell like onions.
Correction, I smell like onion
You
rings.
seem a little defensive.
The onion ring is technically a vegetable, tastes delicious, and is possibly heart smart.
And that's not what Mama says.
Last time I checked, your mother's not a food scientist.
You should tell her that.
Are you out of your freaking mind?
This is some footlights that I'm making for the stage. I used polystyrene and some fairy lights. Now I'm just trying to hide the wiring. And it attaches to the front of the stage. Let's run the wiring for the TV down through the little island. Then we'll also run it down through the stage. And under the base, I carved a little channel for the wiring to fit in so that it's flush. Fiber optics. I'm marking out some areas where I want to put stars onto my painted background. I'm going to make a little hole in the background and then run some fiber optic cable through. And hopefully it's going to light up and look like stars. This cable is so tiny. Alright, I've got all the fiber optics in place. Now I'm going to just tidy it up a bit. I'm going to build a little quick box which is going to be the light source for the fiber optics. The fiber optics are going to run into this hole and the light's going to shine directly into them. Bundle together the light cables, snip them, and then mount them directly into the light. Magic. I'm going to sculpt up some little mushrooms for our island. This island has choices, and so do you. After the clay was baked, I added some PVA glue to fill out the stems.
Hey, is this the kind of mushrooms that help with the PSTDs?
PTSD?
Yeah, that's it.
Maybe.
I need to get my hands on some of those because the itching and burning is driving me crazy.
I can't help you, my friend.
That sucks.
But it is helping people, and isn't that a beautiful thing? It's natural. Before I show you the final results, I just want to say that if you like this channel, consider supporting it on Patreon. It makes all the difference in the world. You can also subscribe or like the video.
Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it! No, what are you waiting for? Do it!
Shut up!